Okay, so just kidding. This is lesson 6 of our pre-middle school B course. Excuse me. And it is, or not course, but unit. We're sneaking in one extra lesson in here. In this one, we are going to we're going to kind of take everything we've learned about integers and we're going to kind of shove it all together. We're going to jump straight in with some examples and we're going to kind of do multiple puzzle pieces in one big puzzle. So let's start. Oops. That's not the tool I wanted. How about this one? Let's start jumping in straight away with some examples. Gosh, it's like whenever I come down here, there must be dust down here in the basement where I'm recording this, because every time I start opening my mouth, I end up getting all choked up. All right, let's jump in with an example. Let's do -6 plus 3 times -2. Now, you may have noticed that I kind of snuck in another new thing. You know, we talked about in our multiplication of integers video, when we have parentheses next to each other, we've got something here and parentheses, those parentheses next to each other, that means times. Another thing that means times is if we have a number, so something like 5, and then parentheses, that's also multiplication, okay? So let's dive into this. Okay, so we've got several things. Now we've got to take into account order of operations. Now you probably remember, you may not remember. You may remember something like this, PEMDAS. Now you may not have learned all of them in last year's course, whatever you were in. That's entirely possible. Okay, but what we need to know is that this M and D stands for multiplication and division. Multiplication and division. And this addition and subtraction stands for, this A and S stands for addition and subtraction, right? So this is the order that we do things in. And we're not really worried about this top part yet. We'll talk about that later, but we do multiplication and division before we do addition and subtraction, and we do them left to right. Left to right. That's an R, probably. Why not? Of course it is. Okay, so going back over here, before we can do this addition, this addition part, we've got to do this multiplication part. So that's the first thing that we're going to do here. We're going to do the multiplication bit first. So 3 times -2 is 6, but it's -6, right? We've got, because we have different signs. We learned that in our multiplication video or our division video. Now we've got a minus in the middle, so what do we do with that? We ka-chink it, right? So this turns into -6 plus -6. The signs are the same because they're both negative, so we add and we keep the sign. So we add it to 12 and we keep that negative. So the answer is -12. Let's do another example. Example number 2. Let's do 8 minus 5 minus 6 plus 9. Whoa, there's a lot of things happening. So what did I say over here with my weird looking R? We do with these, we don't have any multiplication division, so we jump straight down to addition subtraction step, right? And we do it left to right. So the first thing we're going to deal with is the fact that this is a minus in the middle. What do we do with that? We ka-chink, right? So that's the very first thing we do. So now the signs are different. We've got a +8 and a -5. So we subtract them and keep the sign of the bigger one. So 8 minus 5 is 3. And then we keep the sign of the bigger one, so it's positive. Now we're going to bring down everything we haven't messed with. So we haven't messed with this -6 plus 9. Sorry, that 6 went a little crazy. Now, this is, we haven't done very many multi-step problems up to this point, right? So this is kind of the way things go. Now, it's very important, and if you're one of my students, this is absolutely required. You have to do it this way. If you're not one of my students, I still strongly recommend you do it this way. We use our intermediate color on these intermediate steps, and we make sure and keep all of our lines nice and neat and organized. Hopefully, you're doing this on line paper, and you're being able to keep this all lined up nice and neat and organized, right? This is very, very important. Your work should look like this. It should not look all over the place. It should not look all crazy. It should look just like this. Okay, so we're still doing addition subtraction. We're doing it left to right, right? So we got a minus in the middle. We're going to ka-chink, ka-chink that. We're going to ka-chink, ka-chink, right? 3 plus -6. This 3 is positive. This 6 is negative. So the signs are different. So we subtract and keep the sign of the bigger one. What's 6 minus 3? Well, it's 3, right? The bigger one is that 6, so it turns into -3 plus 9. All right, last bit. -3 plus 9, the signs are different. We're going to subtract and keep the sign of the bigger one. So it ends up being +6 as your answer. Okay, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Very good. Let's do one more example, and then we're going to be through with this one. Okay, excuse me. This is going to be example 3. For this one, let's do 8 times -5 minus -3. Okay, there's a lot of things going on here, so we've got to do multiplication and division before we do addition and subtraction. So we're going to do this multiplication and division next, right? We're going to do this guy next. 8 times -5. So remember, for multiplication and division, we just multiply or divide and then deal with the sign. So 8 times 5 is 40. And then the signs are different, so our answer is -40. You got to watch those signs. You got to slow down enough. That's one of the reasons why we change colors, right? Okay, so now we're going to bring down everything we haven't touched. We haven't touched minus -3, so that's what we're going to bring down. Minus -3. We've got a minus in the middle, so we've got a ka-chink, ka-chink, right? So we're going to ka-chink, ka-chink, right? So now we've got -40 plus +3. So the signs are different, right? My goodness, excuse me. Signs are different. We're going to subtract and keep the sign of the bigger one. So 40 minus 3 is 37. The bigger one is the 40, so our answer is -37. All right, so there we are. All the puzzle pieces interlocked. We're going to dive into the next thing in the next lesson, and we will see you there. If you're one of my students, I'll see you in class. Do your homework, all the things. Wonderful day. If you're not one of my students, thanks for joining us. And whoever you are, let us know in the comments how we can help you with math, science, or your general homeschool journey. And hit that like button. And maybe the subscribe button too. That would be really, really great. Thank you guys, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.